How you doing?
Lots of conversations throughout the first 7 weeks on playing complementary football. What were your takeaways from Sunday? And then, I guess, how do you feel that you guys can put it all together to do that in 4 quarters?
We did some good things, obviously. I think we played from the defense side of the ball. I think we played 3 good quarters of football, and then, we just didn't get it done in the fourth quarter. Obviously, offense made some plays. We made some plays. We was feeding off each other here and there, but just got to be consistent and find a way to finish games. So.
Aaron, have you watched Micah Parsons at all, either in passing or studying him or all? Just curious what your impressions are of him.
I watched him. Obviously, watching games on TV, watched him. He play fast. He fly around. They put him all over the place and run all different type of stunts with him. And speed. He's relentless, and he found ways to make plays. So.
There aren't, as talented as there are, the players are in the NFL, there don't seem to be that many that are like you, that can line up different spots, and the quarterbacks always have to know where you are. He seems like he's from a similar kind of cloth.
Yeah, he's a playmaker. Again, there's a guy you got to know where he's at every single play. They have him all over the place, and they're able to do different stunts to get him off certain protections to get him freed up. So they do a good job of putting him everywhere, and he do a good job of just playing relentless, playing fast, and always finding a way to be around the ball. So.
When you film of this Cowboys offense, what stands out to you?
I think they got a good group. Obviously, we know they got a good back. I think they got a good offensive line. A couple of them guys been playing with each other for a long time, so play good together. So, we just got to do what we need to do to, obviously stuff the run and then get after Dak when he's trying to drop back and pass. Obviously, he's able to, make you miss. Strong enough to get out your tackle. So when you come with it, you got to come physical, make sure you wrap them up and get them down. So.
Michael Boyd's coming out of his most productive game outside linebacker. What did you see from him yesterday?
He made plays. They chose to slide a protection a certain type of way, and he's on the back or freed up. You're supposed to make them plays. So you got to continue to do that, take advantage of the opportunities that's given. If they want to try to block him with a back, he's supposed to dominate it, So he just got to continue to get better, continue to do what he's doing. So.
Training camp, Matthew was healthy after dealing with so many injuries the year before. How big of a difference does that make in getting the defense ready for the season, having your starting quarterback healthy during training camp, getting those reps?
Well, you get his best. Obviously, he's preparing you for a lot. Obviously, he's been around this game for a long time, had a lot of success. So, if anything, we going against him at his best, and he ain't doing nothing but getting us better. So,
Aaron, understanding last year the way your season ended, a little bit of sour taste. You want to go out and have a strong showing for the whole year. This year, the margin of losses are very small, unscored games, those types of things. How do you feel about that personally, and the effort toward obviously wanting to try to get that fixed, and how do you keep that sour taste from settling in that way?
I think we've been playing good football overall as a team. I just think it's a quarter or two or half that we didn't play our best in, and a couple plays here and there that you wish you can get back. That's the outcome of a game. So we just got to find a way to play consistent, finish games, and that's what it come down to. Obviously, if you watch the film, you'll see, a lot of them games I felt like we should have won. But, again, you don't finish a game how you need to play, or you don't play your best the first half and trying to dominate the second half. Sometimes you don't get the outcome you want. So if we play 4 quarters, play consistent, and we finish, I think we'll be the team we want to be, and we'll get on that roll. But until then, we're going to keep talking about what up, could have, should have. So we just got to keep working, keep trying to find ways to get better. So.
How do you improve on consistency as a defense in the middle of the season? Is it
I think
just a matter of reaching that point?
I think it's just playing. Obviously, you can say things and talk, but it's a lot different when you're out there seeing it. Obviously, playing a certain type of way you see it on film and making the play you're supposed to make and being consistent with it, and then you've seen it on film week in and week out. It's all about confidence. So,
the trade deadline is coming up, I think, next week. You've been here when you guys have been really active and maybe not so active. What's your sense? Do you feel like you guys need to go out and make some moves to pick up some added players, or where do you sit with it?
That ain't my call. If that's not my call to say. It's not my job to do that. Obviously, my job is just to go out there and play, perform. If they choose to do that and bring some guys in that can help, that's great. But my main focus is just playing football and letting them handle that. So.
the challenge of planning against a team? I know they have lots of good players, but Micah Parsons in particular.
Yeah, I mean, he's anytime you play really good edge, it keeps you up at night starting on Monday because of the problems they present. Obviously, not only do they have really good players, they're coached really well, and they understand how to attack protections, how to attack scheme, how to just make it a problem for your guys up front. So our guys have a great challenge ahead, both coaches and players. Obviously, the players are the ones that have to go do it. They got the biggest challenge, but they're special. I mean, it's not just obviously Micah, DeMarcus, that whole group, and again, they have a good scheme behind it.
What's the next step for Puka Nacua?
Just continue to be Puka. I mean, we're never going to put a stat on him or anything like that. Just continue to grow, continue to get more and more comfortable. He hasn't reached his peak in terms of comfortability yet, when he does that, who knows where he could go. But not really worried about that. Just keep coming out with that same energy, that same style of play that he plays with. It's very, it's awesome for our squad to have a guy like that.
Who's simulating Micah in practice?
Me. No. No, you can't. No, you can't simulate him, right? And our guys do as good of a job. But you're talking about one of the best in the world right now, if not the best, right, at what he does. And again, with him playing on the edge, he'll line up over the guards. He'll line up over the center. He'll play linebacker and do a dang good job at that. They don't ask him to do it as much as they used to. But when they do and he has to be in coverage, he does a good job at that. He's a freak. And he was a freak coming out, but the way they've been able to actually find a position for him and maximize that is pretty special.
What Myles Gaskin wasn't active last week, but how's his kind of development coming along?
Good. I think coming from Miami, being in Minnesota, there's definitely familiarity with parts of the scheme. Obviously, there's every single place is going to be a little bit different, but he's coming along comfortable. He's a great dude. He's a great teammate. You can already tell that's been on record. But he's fitting right in, and when he gets his op, he's going to be ready.
What do you notice difference about practice from last week when you had those guys, the running backs, coming right in? Miles not there that long, and then this week now that they've had almost a week.
Sarah, really nothing. I mean, because they're pros. Royce has been here, obviously. It was just the matter of getting out there on Sundays. And you preach to these guys, you never know when your time's going to be, or when your number's going to be called. And so you always better be prepared. That's why you have the practice squads, and that's why the practice squads are a little bit bigger. What we learned from COVID and just how many, And so for those guys, again, to give kudos to Ron to make sure that Royce was ready. And then, again, with Darryl, just having been here before, not much has changed, So for him to just be able to step in, again, being a running back, being 7.5 yards behind the quarterback, 16 means right, 17 means left. That's pretty simple for them. It's really just getting acclimated. When I do have the ball, I haven't played in a while. How are you going to be handling the ball? When contact comes, how's your body going to feel on Monday? I know he went through those sores, but he's ready to go.
So, in a similar vein, just like in terms of joining the team after training camp, having to kind of learn on the fly, what has stood out to you about the way Kevin Dotson has taken it?
Yeah, no, he's a pros pro too. He came from a really good organization with, how they do things in Pittsburgh. Obviously, he's a son of a coach. And so it's been a smooth transition. Unlike Miles, where he came from a similar system. Pittsburgh runs a very different system than us, from every aspect, protection, run game, and all that. So that was a learning curve for him, hearing our terminology for the first time. But every week, just getting a little bit more comfortable with that, and with comfort comes better execution.
Early in this, I guess throughout the first half of this season, your offensive line has faced some pretty premier pass rushers, including the one on each side last week.
Yeah.
What have you made of how they've looked and operated in pass pro specifically, and what are you guys still working on in terms of doing that? Yeah,
I mean, this league every week is tough, but you're right. I mean, it does feel like we've played some of the premier guys, and hey, that's what you love about the NFL, and you want to play the best, So we got our hands full again with these guys. They're up for the challenge. It's at the end of the day, it's ball, and you got to block the man in front of you, and you got to have the right mindset that I'm going to get it done. We as coaches got to have the right scheme and stuff like that to make sure that we're putting those guys in position to not be left on islands all the time. but inevitably you're going to be at sometimes, and we just got to do our job, make sure it doesn't happen all the time. And when it does, those guys got to have the mindset to go that I'm going to block my man. And they did a good job when we left them alone. They did a good job with it, and they'll continue to.
This is more of a teaching question, if you don't mind. So there was a moment, it looked like Matthew checked into a different play, saw something. This was before the sack, or the Irving sack.
Yep.
And then it seemed like maybe there was a miscommunication on the timing, Alaric, with coming out of his stance. What happened on that play?
Yeah, it was just, again, it was a miscommunication. The clock was ticking down. I believe they couldn't, hear what exactly happened up front. And anytime on offense, let alone on defense, when you have a miscommunication, obviously something bad can happen, but one guy can save the day. On offense, when one guy's off, the play could easily be over, whether it's up front, the receiver, the court, obviously, and that's why you have to be on the screws, all 11 at all times. There's no play that can be wasted.
I know these guys are pros, right? And you guys preach, you got to be ready for your opportunity. And so, like, when a guy like Royce actually steps in and executes that, is that just, hey, you're a pro, that's what you're supposed to do, or do you talk to him afterward in terms of like, that was a big deal, to kind of be able to do that?
That's real, Gary. I mean, they're pros. They play for the Rams, but they're humans too, right? And so you want to have the connection with those guys, and you give them the kudos when they deserve the kudos, But again, now it's time to turn the page, and what are we going to do now? What are we going to do moving forward to even be better than last week? Because there's, from every single person and coach, there's always things that we can improve on and be better from. That's not just coach speak, that's real, because this league is just too dang hard, and every week you got to go out and put your best foot forward, otherwise you get beat. But Royce did a great job, Darryl did a great job, and continuing to keep on building from that. Thanks, y'all. Take care.
Okay. Hey, Sarah.
Just your thoughts on the sentiment that players have shared a few times is 3 great quarters, 1 quarter you wanted back. What did you see out there?
It's really like more so a drive that you want back, or a play within a drive you want back. Something you got to do. I talked with it, I addressed it this weekend. We talked about mental stamina. And it really showed this week, particularly on the PI call right after that. You want the mental stamina to be able to come back and fight that down and make the next one a little harder and things of that nature. Get some of those stops would be great. You got to have that. Like, that's a part of the game, the ebbs and flows of how it works. And the only way you get it is you talk about it, you address it, you bring it to the forefront, you go out there and you handle it that way. And that's all a part of, like, growing up within this league and growing up with this profession and playing. And you got to practice that way, right? The mental stamina throughout practice. How does it last throughout a training camp? How does it go throughout practice from day to day and things of the nature like that? So really mental stamina, the toughness you got to go through, and some of the stuff you got to be able to deal with when you're trying to put together a complete game like we are.
How can you tell that a guy has strong mental stamina?
I don't know if you really can tell unless you put him through the situations. So it starts from when you first meet him, when you're talking about OTA days, right? And you're trying to develop it. You're talking about developing the mental stamina just to deal with meetings and then be able to go to a practice field and really to put together a full work day. And then you're just talking about right now, you're in the process of learning it because you've seen what they can do as far as practice to the game performance to how it works out to starting how a game ends and then going out and finishing a couple of those games, right? So I don't even know if you can, like, evaluate it. You can kind of see it from a standpoint of where they come from for college and things of that nature. But realistically, you got to go out there and put it together throughout yourself and go through that type of stuff. Like it's about staying even keeled throughout. It's about having the same way play one look like play 60 or whatever it takes. So I don't know if there's a real formula for that. It's more just addressing it and going out there and getting that stuff completed.
Raheem, how would you, or what did you make, I guess, of Mike Lloyd's performance last week, and how would you evaluate the way he's played outside linebacker?
It's such an emotional roller coaster when you're talking about like Michael Hoyt, or you're talking about anything stat driven, right? Obviously, he's a world beater, got 2 sacks in the game, right? But that probably wasn't his best game, But perception-wise, obviously, it can be, right? When you get unblocked production on one and you beat somebody another one, that's what you're supposed to do, right? But he's done such a good job this year, and some of the hard jobs he's been required to do. I got such a respect for what he's been giving us that it's hard for me to put a mark on his grade. The mark is what our record is, right? And that's the only thing that matters. So we're trying to go out and get more wins than we have now, and really that's what we care about. And you put the best player out there at the time that's capable of doing the best things, and he's done some good things. He's gotten better. He's still a work in progress at the outside backup position just in itself. So I'm really proud, really fired up where he's going. I watch him get better. I don't want to discredit his sacks, but I don't want to give those more credit because he didn't get something the week before that might have looked good that we saw or you saw. And it's just one of those things. It's just statute for losers. I'm not going to use it for me or against me.
How did Darian play last week? And do you feel like his absence earlier in the week ended up having no effect on you guys, or hurt you, or helped you?
It always has an effect. You can't ever discredit absence. So certainly it did, right? He was able to come back and play a role for us. He wasn't playing his normal role, but he was able to come back and help us play in the role he was able to play in. To say how it affected him, probably a better question for him, right? He played decent. We gave a play at the end that we should have some help on and different other things, but I'm not sure if that was the reason of the absence. It's just more so really the mental stamina of doing things right, better, faster, in order to make a few plays towards the end, right? Those first 3 quarters, you look like world beaters. You're rolling. The emotional roller coaster of the big play coming out of halftime for those guys, putting them on a 7, gives them points. You got to jump right past that, right? That's really what the stamina part is, right? It's not riding that emotional roller coaster. It's playing the next snap, no matter what it is. Score's always 0-0, like particularly at corner. You give up a catch, you got to play the next snap, or you're going to give up another one. So, I hate the greatest performance on that. We didn't do a well enough job to win the football game, so we all got losing grades. But really proud that he was able to come out and just be able to help us contribute with the stuff that he had to deal with last week.
In terms of the emotional roller coaster
Yes.
within one play, when that ball was, I think, tipped 3 times.
That was an emotional roller coaster. That was fair. I was all over the place on that one.
Can you take us through, if you could remember, what you're thinking as that ball's getting tipped? And
it's just one of those things. It was Roseboom jumps up, makes a beautiful play, and you think he catches the ball. It tips through his arms. You see Jordan Filler approaching, and you're like, okay, Jordan's going to get it. Jordan has to redirect because it kind of gets tipped right out of his way. You see freaking Kobe running right to it, and unfortunately you got Russ hustling to knock the ball away from Kobe. It's just one of those things. It's like, oh, man, how many people can touch this ball in the same play before it's the ground? And that was fair, emotional roller coaster there, Gary. I'll take that one. I rolled that one with you. I can't lie.
You had the 12 men on the field penalty there
Sure.
in the fourth quarter, and then on the 3rd down that got erased by the blindside block, you had 10 men on the field there.
Yes.
What happened on those substitutions?
So we had substitution errors, and that's part of new packages going in. It's part my fault. I got to get it to the guys faster. It's part some of their fault. We got to do a better job signaling. It's really the first time this year we've had any of those issues, but both I take full responsibility for it. Like, I got to say it to them faster. The guys got to signal to each other. We got to get those guys off. And we had a little bit of different substitution pattern last week, not to make any excuses for anybody. So I'll take that 100%. 12 men on the field, my fault. 10 men on the field, my fault. We got lucky and bailed out with a penalty there.
Do you anticipate that Ernest will get back to his, full,
Oh, yeah.
not limited, or because
Ernest,
that changed your communication?
Sorry, Jordan. Yeah. Sorry, we had the, last week he was a little limited on what he can do, some of the packages he was out on. But Ernest is back up working at whatever Reggie said, so I don't get in trouble. But he's getting better workload than he got last week.
The 4th and 1 stop and the spot.
It wasn't a stop.
Okay, well,
that's part of the emotional roller coaster. You can't ride that, Gary. I just said it wasn't a stop, no.
You know, we go back and go, okay, you didn't have the timeout, couldn't call it, but for you on the sideline, did you think he was short, and what was kind of your mindset as all of that was unfolding on the field?
You know, I don't really know if it's like whether I thought it was a stop or not. Doesn't really matter. It was a matter of where they spotted it, marked it as a first down, and you move on, right? And it's not like you could necessarily do anything about those situations. It's like, you know, if it was a first down, it was a first down, and just so happened it was. So you got to move on. You got to go shake the Steelers' hands, get out of there, and they did a nice job on the short yardage play, getting the first down, and that's all you can do. Like anything else, I can get up and complain and get fined, but I don't think that's really worth it either, right? It's just like, because it's not going to get the game back. It's not going to give you an opportunity to go down and try to tie that football game, or whatever the case may be. So I was proud of how the guys reacted. I was proud of how the guys got lined up, set, ready to play the play, and played it. And the results didn't work in our favor.
Super limited sample size, obviously, but how did you think Kobe Durant did on the outside when he was out?
You are nice. You've got great observation skills. Kobe had to go outside a little bit, and that was where he played. Had a nice knockdown pass. Was really close in another one we felt like he could have played a little bit better. Really proud of him just being able to bounce out there and be able to pick up for his brother that had some issues last week we had to deal with. And Kobe just showed some of his versatility that he can do. And so did Quentin Lake being able to slide inside and do some of those things for us in those structures.
When something works like that, I mean, obviously, I understand it's situational, opponent-based, those types
Sure.
of things. Do you explore more of that?
You know, you really explore more of those things when people play well, you know, and Quentin Lake's been playing really well. So you explore more of him playing some inside stuff for us. Kobe's been playing really well just about most of the spots we put him at and playing at a high level. So getting those guys in the grass as much as possible and find that right combination to give you your best results to endure a whole game and play the way you need to play is part of it too. All right, guys.
I'm sure you have that video of you pounding the podium to circulate.
Do you have it?
Very good, thank you.
How did Lucas look yesterday? And I guess Tuesday you must have seen him too, right?
Yesterday was the first time. He flew in and did his physical and all that stuff for on Tuesday, but yesterday was his first day kicking and doing the live ops and everything with the new group, and very good start. Today will be another big test for him with the behind the whole line and team and everything. But really have enjoyed what I've seen with his ball flight and contact and leg strength, a little bit of everything in between.
What does an evaluation look like when you're also trying to install game plan for special teams and also get your situational work for your entire group?
That's part of what it takes, you figure it out, you find a way to get it all done. Obviously, you always have kind of a running list of guys you're looking at and different things. You never know what things in the special teams world with specialists, how quickly they can change, whether it's performance-based or injury-based, those type of things. So you're always kind of preparing for what could be next, what potentially, and as is every other position coach at their positions, evaluating the next guy up if you don't have a guy already on practice squad.
What are the challenges technically when you're making the switch mid-season?
Yeah, obviously it's, Brett had earned a level of trust amongst his teammates, the rapport, and build that. And obviously Lucas has that opportunity right now to continue to start and build that as it goes. I think that's one of the biggest challenges as you look at it. But outside of that, it's just getting used to the operation. Obviously a new snapper holder for him. Our guy's getting used to his hold. Good news is he has a pretty standard hold, and it doesn't change much from Brett to him. So that shouldn't be an issue at all.
When you're looking to bring someone in mid-season like that, is it important to find someone who does have a simple hold?
Yeah, there's definitely an element to that. You don't want to change too much. You don't want too many moving parts. It'd be like bringing in a lefty snapper, in the middle of the season, trying to have a different rotation on the ball, those type of things. You're looking for some similarities and some, obviously, evaluation of guys that you trust, guys you've seen, guys that other people that you trust have seen multiple times. And obviously Matt Gay was another big influence of the time he spent with them and how encouraging he was and about bringing him in and how he thought he was going to be a guy moving forward.
With Brett, it's tough, obviously, I'm sure, from your perspective,
Yeah.
to see him go through that during a game and then after.
Yeah.
What was that like for you personally, especially in this position as the coordinator?
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's always tough to see anybody struggle. You develop a bond and a relationship with each player, and you do have confidence and trust. It wouldn't have put him back out there if I didn't think he had earned that, and not just a blind trust or a blind faith, but he'd earned the right to go out there and make those kicks. And so it's hard to work through those situations, and at some point you just got to try to figure out what's best for the team. And we felt at this time it was the time to do it. But the conversation with him, he was a complete pro. I told him I couldn't thank him enough for the things he's done for the two rookies, the development in that, and talking through situations and being with them on the sideline and the communication. All those things don't go unnoticed, and that's what makes it hard.
What are the factors that you're considering when you go from a vet like Brett to someone like Lucas, who's yet to make his regular season debut?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. Obviously, number one, we're trying to find kickers to make kicks, right? We're trying to find a guy that can come in here and be the solution day one, and we hope that we found that. That's the first thing. Second thing would really be, again, trying to find a guy in this situation. You can go two options, right? You go with the vet and kind of a guy that's proven but may be on the different part of his career path versus a young guy who is earning the right. If you guys remember that, we're here covering it when Matt got here, right? He got released and hadn't had the performances that he wanted, and got released and came here and had a fresh start, and obviously turned into the kicker that he is and always was, but be able to showcase it and prove it. And, that's what you're really hoping to find in a young guy like Lucas, that he can come, the moment's not too big. He can take his practice routine and confidence that he earns on the field every day and make it game reality, like Coach always says. If he can do that and stay in the right mental space with the ball flight and the ball he hits and his leg strength, there's a ton of upside with that kid. Really encouraged what I saw.
Sean seemed to indicate, he said a couple times, we'll continue to kind of, look at the landscape and stuff. So is it fair to say that even though he's come in, he's looked good on that first day, that you guys still kind of are always thinking of a backup plan, and should that not necessarily pan out the way you want?
Yeah, it's no different than every other time. You're always looking at that, looking up, like I said before, with injuries and all that kind of stuff. You're always kind of having to midstream adjust and always being able to have that at least in the back of your mind of what the next step is if God forbid a guy comes in and is sick and can't kick on a Sunday, who's going to go and who's going to do what, or if your snapper's down, or you always have to have a contingency plan of everything. That's part of coaching, and what we do is being able to midstream adjust and make those necessary adjustments and tweaks, and have the knowledge to be able to bring in the next guy if need be.
This team has been pretty public over the last several months about it's in a different economic circumstance at this point. And kicker, special teams, all specialists in your group were not unaffected by that in terms of going with lower cost options there. What does that do when you're doing your evaluations, you're looking at qualities, you're looking at traits? Do you have to sort of pick and choose different, or is it that because you're not getting, you're not going to go out and sign like a $5 million, $6 million year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of $5 and $6 million kickers available mid-season, but when you look at it, you always bring up all the options, right? You put guys in buckets about, hey, veterans that experience, mid-tier veterans that have maybe had injury history or something that you're trying to work through, your younger, talented guys that haven't had the experience but you really feel like can be the guy for the future. And then you just got to weigh each option and present it as good as you can to Les and to coach. And ultimately, it's what's best for the team and what's best for our situation, and that's what they got to decide. That's why it's not easy, but you got to put it in different buckets. And the way I look at it is, hey, give them the options and then help them make the decision based upon what we think is best for the team.
And then this is more of a teaching question, but you said before about some of the evaluation, like the sound coming off the foot.
Oh, yeah.
Can you describe what that is, that sound?
I mean, I don't know when next time you guys get an opportunity to see it or hear it, but you'll know as soon as you hear it off of a foot. It's just pure. It sounds, from probably a kicker's perspective or a specialist perspective, it's like hitting a sweet spot on a baseball with a baseball bat, or a golf club, and you don't feel it. But to everyone else, it's pure. It's crisp. It's got that pop to it when you're listening from the outside perspective.
Austin Trammell, just kind of if you can,
Yeah.
your evaluation of
Yeah.
how the job he's done.
Been very pleased. Obviously, we had the fumble, just a little bit of ball security stuff there on that one. But outside of that, decision-making has been very good. Obviously, a couple returns called back that would really boost his average, and situational that not his fault. Good returns, good decisions, and good reads. He's hitting it hard, straight, and fast. He has no fear back there, which is what number one thing you need as a returner is having a little bit of no fear, and but being smart about when to pick and choose your decisions and making those great decisions, and communication with verbiage to get the Peter calls out, anything short, any mishit punts, those type of deals, get guys away so you don't have the turnovers. Good. Thank you, guys.
I promise we also want to talk to you when stuff's good.
All right, there we go. I'll hold you to it.